Greetings all. Yes, it is I. Have been in a while. Blah blah blah. Let's get right into it because I don't know how much this thing. Lord Jesus, thank you for our peace help this to give honor and praise to you. For peace, thank for and answer our prayer. No spoilers. You might just be reading this. Get right into it. Can't bother seeing
Would like it, and no matter how many resources they devote to it, containing SCP-169 is simply unrealistic.
How?
The object is a giant arthropod of astounding size. In the legends and myths told by sailors, it's often referred to as the Leviathan. The Foundation also considered the Leviathan a legend, but that all changed when Mobile Task Force Gamma 6 investigated some paranormal activity taking place in a distant archipelago. Foundation researchers found it suspicious that the archipelago had moved about 2 miles from its previous location.
Definitely Leviathan.
But as a rule, this typically takes millions of years. And the islands took but a few weeks to move so radically. Granted, Foundation researchers had hoped up to the very end that there was nothing paranormal going on here. One of the doctors even suggested that this was just the result of a sharp and rapid continental shift. However, a US military intelligence so that the information did not escape control. However, it was not possible to completely avoid the
That was definitely the Leviathan. No, it's just a Leviathan.
Leak of information regarding this
Leviathans
subject.
are very powerful.
The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration had recorded a strange low-frequency hum in the mid-1990s. Still, its source was not in the Atlantic Ocean, but in the Pacific. The message was widely circulated through the media and aroused public interest. The Disinformation Department had to work hard to produce a simple, scientific... This sound is due to the breaking of ice blocks at great depths.
How do you break ice blocks?
The public calmed down and various scientists
and
activists demanded attempts to further study the sound. But for Foundation researchers, this became proof that the Leviathan's head was located, give or take, at Point Nemo, the most remote and uninhabited place in the Pacific Ocean. And the lamellar, rocky outgrowths in the Atlantic Ocean cover another part of the body, although it's still unknown which one exactly. Access to them is completely closed off, under the pretext that the rarest species of bird supposedly nest there. The team of the Foundation's scientists estimated that the size of the creature to be somewhere in the range of 1,200 to almost 5,000 miles. The monster is located in both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, being mostly in their southern regions. This actually suggests that part of the Leviathan's body can also pass under the mainland. Since the minimum width of the Drake Pass, this is still very strange, considering that life back in the pre-Cambrian era was rather primitive. Terrestrial animals do not tolerate competition with their own kind and occupy a certain territory. Perhaps the Leviathan...
They battle for ownership.
Do the same. Only other creatures occupy and zealously guard a relatively small piece of land or sea, and SCP-169 requires an entire planet free of any other kin. In this case, Leviathans can breed like arthropods, by laying eggs, and they're carried off to different planets by meteorites and comets. There's most—
Wait, what?
If everything turns out all right, for both
it never does.
of us, I mean, in 6 months.
Yes.
There's most likely a large number of eggs with small Leviathans on each of these space objects. When the first baby hatches, it almost certainly eats everyone else, thus allowing it to quickly grow in size. Or everyone else dies fighting for food and territory, leaving only one SCP-169 on each planet.
Thank goodness.
To be honest, I was very surprised by the fact that the Leviathan turned out to be an arthropod creature. When you hear the word Leviathan, a giant cetacean or fish quickly comes to mind. Well, as a last resort, I suppose you can just imagine some huge mollusk. But an arthropod? The image of the Leviathan is difficult to match up with all these existing kinds of insects, spiders, centipedes, or even crayfish.
What do you mean?
But nevertheless, it is a fact. The rock-like plates most likely serve the same function as the chitinous shell of the crab or beetle, only this shell is many times stronger.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip this because I can't take it.
Slight movements by the archipelago may lead to the islands being completely submerged.
What?
For the Foundation, such a turn of events is extremely undesirable. since this is the only observable part of the animal.
Again with this, I don't care.
If everything turns out all
Guys,
right,
please vote
for
in the
both of us,
comments.
I mean.
Do you like ads? Yes
months.
or no? Of course, no one likes ads. They don't have to say anything. I hear you, fam. And why is my internet like this? I just got a
Obviously,
new
this is due
box.
to the impossibility of
I
restraining
just
the
got a new
Leviathan
internet box.
and the
Why is my
difficulty of
internet
predicting
moving
its
slow?
destructive power. For the last several millennia, the creature has most likely been sleeping, and its minor movements are involuntary and due to the ocean current. What will happen if Leviathan suddenly wakes up and wants to rise above the surface of the water?
Oh.
Obviously, this will not
Almost
exactly be a
dead.
pleasant experience for us. If even the
All of us
beast's
will
breathing
probably
causes
die.
minor lithospheric shifts, then its active movements will most certainly provoke extensive earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes.
We'll probably
Map
be
of the
all dead or
world.
something.
The continents will move from their usual locations, turn into separate parts, and turn into numerous islands. I don't think it's worth talking about how many victims this horror will lead to. It's obvious enough. The question, however, is different. If we're facing such a scenario, then what can the Foundation do to prevent it? It may be worth keeping the beast hibernating artificially. If you stuff the Leviathan with sleeping pills and tranquilizers, it may be possible to keep it asleep. However, this is also dangerous and can be harmful. The Foundation's scientists don't even know the exact size of the creature, and it's not even clear whether these drugs will even have any effect on the anomaly whatsoever.
What if it has
And
the
even if
opposite
there are any
effect?
effects, the number of sleeping pills on the entire planet still has its limit. Additionally, it could potentially cause the exact opposite effect and wake up the Leviathan from its
Exactly,
prolonged
that's what I was
hibernation.
been saying.
Or on the contrary, will end up killing it. We
Wait,
don't
what?
know what role SCP-169 plays in maintaining the natural balance on Earth. Imagine what would happen if suddenly such a carcass began to decompose in the ocean. Obviously, it would poison the whole ocean and lead to the death of all life within it.
True.
A huge amount of carbon dioxide would be released, which would exacerbate the already gloomy climate situation at hand. If SCP-169 proves to be sentient on top of everything else, then additional problems would be encountered. Granted,
What?
it would depend on its attitude towards humanity and other forms of life. For some reason, I have my doubts about it being one of a positive nature. It seems likely to me that the Leviathan wakes up every time humanity goes too far in matters concerning environmental management. SCP-169 awakens from a 1,000-year sleep and destroys everything it sees around. Obviously, it possesses enough strength for this. But
True.
even if the Leviathan treats people favorably, it's unlikely to be able to control the destructive consequences of its own random movements. The most incredible theory I've ever thought about SCP-169 is that our entire planet is the Leviathan. Yes,
Wait, what?
yes, this is something akin to what our ancestors
What?
talked about when they described the Earth being set atop of whales, turtles, and other living creatures. In this case, the Leviathan is an arthropod twisted up into a ball, on top of which the entire biosphere of the Earth is located. That is, Leviathan is the core, the deep essence of our very planet. In that
That
case,
can't
all
be.
earthquakes and movements of lithospheric plates are simply the consequences of SCP-169's movements. It's possible that the head of the creature is near South America, which is located closer to the surface than the rest of the body, and the rocky islands are a kind of respiratory organ. If the Leviathan suffocates, then it would spell the end for all of us. In that case, by guarding the anomalous archipelago of islands, the Foundation keeps its finger on the pulse of all mankind. What do you think SCP-169 really is? Let us know in the comments below.
Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'm sorry for being so late. I had tests for like 5 weeks or something, and I had to be studying. This is the only free time I actually had. So, I had to take it seriously. That's why I jumped straight into it without saying a word. So yeah, see you in the next one. Peace! If I even have a next one. Well, thanks for watching. You might want to click the video on screen. Just saying, it might be enjoyable.